So why should you choose a word of the year? Let's start with that. It can be something to guide and inspire your choices through the coming year. Hello, you are listening to the Late Bloomer Living podcast. I'm Yvonne Marchese, your host, and I'm so happy you're here. I created this podcast to give you inspiration and let you know you're not alone in feeling stuck in midlife. I also invite you to join the Age Agitators Club for women, where we come together monthly to hatch our plans for making waves as we age. Being part of this community for women will remind you on a regular basis that you're not too old, and it's never too late to do that thing you've been thinking about. You can find more information at latebloomerliving.com/community, and I hope to see you there. Hello, my friend. Oh my goodness, it is December. We are in the thick of it. And instead of doing like a holiday special, I thought I'd get a jump on the new year. Are you one of those people who does the word of the year thing? Do you know about the word of the year thing? Do you think it's a bunch of hooey? I'll tell you, it has been a really good practice for me. And so I wanted to talk about it today. So as we do get closer into starting a new year, you know, this is something you can actually do at any time, by the way. Just want to say that. But I started using a word of the year as something that would help me be more intentional about my life and what I want for my life. I started that in 2020 when I started the podcast, when I committed to doing, in fact, this was before COVID happened, for the record, because I started working on learning how to do a podcast, I would say in January of 2020. And that's when I thought, okay, there's this word of the year thing that I'm hearing people are doing. Maybe I'll try it. And I thought, what would be a word that can help get me through this project that I want to do, this new thing? And I chose the word help for that year because I wanted to create a podcast that was going to help people. But I also realized that one of my little downfalls is that I don't like to ask for help. And so I realized that I was going to have to get out of my own way a little bit in order to learn how to do a podcast and do all the things that needed to happen that I didn't know how to do. So help was my word for the year. And it was fantastically powerful, I have to say. I've done it every year since because that first year was so powerful. And in 2021, you know what word I chose? Play. I may go back to something like that for this coming year. I'm still thinking through what my word of the year is going to be this year. And I find it really interesting that the word play was featuring so strongly for me all the way back to 2021. For 2022, my word was community. And that was the year that I hosted an online summit and started my community, the Age Agitators Club. If you think about it, it ties into my problems asking for help. I wanted to learn how to be a better community participant because I was in a mastermind at the time, a business mastermind, and I had, and I wanted to figure out how to be in community with people, how to collaborate with people, how to not feel like I had to do everything myself. This American idea, I'll call it, of independence. I was like, let's shake that off and see how embracing community can change things up a little bit. And it changed everything, I will say. So why should you choose a word of the year? Let's start with that. It can be something to guide and inspire your choices through the coming year. A single word is easy to remember. And if you put it up around different places to remind you, it can be a trigger when you're in a moment where you need to make a decision about something. You can use little sticky notes and put them on your bathroom mirror. Put it around your house. Put it in a journal that you go to every day. Put it places where you're going to see that word so that you can tap back into what your intentions are. It's not a win or lose proposition, which is what I like about choosing a word of the year. Goal setting is great. I do think we need to set goals, but I'll tell you right now, I've changed the way I set goals in the past few years. I have changed the way I set goals from being, quantifiable things like, let's say you want to lose weight. I want to lose 10 pounds. Instead of having a weight loss goal of losing 10 pounds, something that I have more control over is I am going to move my body every day. That's my goal. That is something that I have complete control of. Whether or not I lose the 10 pounds, maybe not. But that action that I can take to move my body every day. So choosing the single word is powerful because if you choose thoughtfully, it can be something that is a touchstone, like a little trigger, like a little glimmer to keep you going on the harder days. So how do you choose a word of the day? Take a few minutes, give yourself a little bit of time to sit and think about this. And one of the reasons I'm posting this podcast episode before the new year is to give you time to mull it over and marinate in what your possible choices could be. So what you can do is start by thinking about something you want to accomplish in the coming year. Something that you want. What would make you feel good? What have you been wanting to do that you've been putting it off? And when you think about that, write down a list of action words, verbs. Start with verbs, maybe. And also think about skills or characteristics that you could develop in yourself that would help you to achieve your goals. For me, it was learning how to ask for help. It was also keeping in mind that I wanted the podcast to be helpful to people. And having that as a guidepost was really incredibly powerful. So if you think about, do you want to feel vibrant? How do you want to feel? That's another way. So then you could get into adjectives. Do you want to feel vibrant? Do you want to feel energetic? Just start thinking it through. Write them down and come back to your list frequently and see what keeps jumping out at you. Notice it in your gut. How does it make you feel, that word? And it will become more and more obvious if you give yourself a little bit of time to steep in it. So I'm going to give you a list of some of the words I'm considering for this year and why, just to give you a jump start. The word savor is something I did consider very strongly as having my word for 2025 because I'm working on being more present in my life. This is my last year with a kid at home. He's going to be heading off to college next year, and I want to savor this last moment in time when he's here in the house with us on a daily basis before things change and shift. I want to savor the people that listen to this podcast. I want to savor the members of my community, the Age Agitators Club. so often we find ourselves wanting more and wanting more and wanting more. Yeah, and savor, it could still be in the running, maybe. But I've found a couple of other words since I started thinking about this. Explore or exploration. I love the idea of that because there's a playfulness to it, and play is my big inquiry these days. There's curiosity that's involved with exploring and exploration, and I am convinced that staying curious is the key to finding out more about ourselves, finding out more about what we want, leaning into what we want. Yeah. So that's way up there. Playful, of course. Playful is what I'm thinking of doing this year instead of the verb play. Play is like an action. It's a command. It almost makes me feel like I need to go play. And what I really want is the feeling of playfulness. I want the feeling of playfulness when I'm working. I want to tap into that, and that's part of savoring. I want to savor the experience of creating the podcast, of doing photo shoots with clients, of doing those things. So can you see how this is all tied together? And it's just a narrowing down until you find the thing that feels like it's like, like you feel it just pop into place, like it's right, So right now I have to say explore, or maybe exploration, and playful. Those are the words right now that are in the top running for me. Vibrant is another good one that I kind of found, well, that could be fun because I want to feel vibrant. Yeah, so those are some thoughts for you. If you are thinking about doing this word of the year thing, I highly recommend it. Give it a go. Thank you for listening. And remember, always be blooming and bloom like you mean it.